Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'd like to call the Nash County Board of Commissioners meeting for October the 3rd to order at this time. And it is customary for us to begin each one of our meetings with a prayer by a sitting commissioner, and also to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And during this time, the prayer, you're welcome to use, stand and join us in the prayer. You're welcome to use it for a moment of silence, what may be on your mind this morning, or of course, you're welcome to have your own prayer. At this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Marvin Arrington for the invocation, and then Commissioner Wayne Outlaw for the pledge. Mr. Arrington.
Good morning, everyone. This morning, we're going to ask everyone we're going to have a moment of silence this morning so you can do your own prayer for your family, our county, and our country. In God we trust. In God we trust. Amen.
Amen. Would you join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioners. I do see one face in the audience I hadn't seen in quite a while, a reporter, Lyndall Kay. Lyndall, welcome back, sir. I understand you may be on our beat again, and maybe with the graphic, is that correct? Yes, sir. Okay. Welcome back to Nashville, sir. Glad to have you. At this time, I'll call for approval of the minutes. We had 2 meetings in September, and I would ask for any corrections to those minutes, any additions, or a motion to approve if everything's okay with you.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve both sets. Is there a second?
Second.
And second by Commissioner Arrington. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries. Well, we're now in public comment, and during this time, you're welcome to come to the podium, state your name and address, and bring anything that may be on your mind. To the Board of Commissioners, we do have a sign-up period out front just before the meeting. If you happen to miss that and didn't realize it and want to speak, we'll certainly welcome you. I did have one person to contact me wanted to speak this morning, which really is not public comment. She's welcome anytime, Senator Lisa Barnes. So, Ms. Barnes, we'll start with you, if that's okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to come. It's always great to be back here in Nash County, where I occupied a seat on the board for a while. So I feel like I'm back home, and it's a good feeling to see everybody again. And it's a good occasion also to present you guys with some money, some funding that I was able to get in the budget for the county and for some agencies within the county. So I will elaborate a little bit. I know Donna has brought you some budget amendments regarding some of this funding too. So there's a couple of court staffing positions included in here for Nash, Edgecombe, and Wilson recurring funds, which that's always a nice thing to get, and I'm happy to be able to do that. A lot of times we are able just to get non-recurring funds. So those positions were needed, and I had met with Judge Sumner and Judge Wiggins and also the clerk of the court about getting those staffing needs added to the budget. Also, we'll have money for our sheriff's department for some equipment that he requested. So excited to get $150,000 for him in the SCIF funding, and then $150,000 also within the portion that will be going to the county. So the volunteer fire departments, every volunteer fire department in Nash County will receive $20,000 each. So I'm very excited to help out our volunteer fire departments throughout the county. And the Rocky Mount Wilson Airport will also receive $100,000, and that's going to help with their planning for the expansion that they're trying to do out there. The Strategic Twin County Education Partnership will also get $100,000 in this grant in this budget to help with their programming. And the City of Refuge Foundation for Phase 1 of the Mission Park out there is going to receive $50,000 in grant money. And then Ripe for Revival will also receive $75,000 to help with their mobile food distribution. So that's basically all of the funding that I was here to let you guys know about. And I'm happy to present the check to the chairman, or how you want to proceed with that.
Any questions of Senator Barnes on this funding?
Yes.
Ms. Bellfield?
Yes, is that immediately? It can be used immediately during
Yes,
this fiscal year?
Yes, it should be coming down soon. As soon as the budget is certified, you should be getting those funds.
Other comments, questions?
Just thank you for your continued support of Nash County.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Trying to look after my hometown people.
And you do that very well.
So you have a check you
I
want to
have this
present
big
to?
old check.
Okay.
You guys. Thank you.
Safe trip to Raleigh.
Lisa, on behalf of the board, we want to thank you for taking time this morning before you go to Raleigh to do this, and certainly want to thank you for the dollars involved, and certainly want to thank you for your service. Appreciate it. All right, is anyone else here that wishes to speak under public comment that didn't realize you needed to sign up out front? We'd be glad to hear from you. Seeing no movement, we will move on to item number 6, which is introduction of the new Emergency Services Director, and I'll call on our manager to take care of that.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Tony Cameron was actually not able to join us today. He had a previously scheduled out-of-town event, so we will get him before the board at your next scheduled meeting. But I still would like to provide an introduction for Mr. Cameron. He will be our new Emergency Services Director. He has a bachelor's in criminal justice and leadership and a master's in science and criminal justice and administration, both from Wesleyan University. Mr. Cameron is retired from the State Highway Patrol and is currently employed with Nash County in our Sheriff's Office. His experience, qualifications, and training cover all of the functions of emergency services. He was an EMT with Halifax Emergency Medical Services and served as the EMT State Coordinator and Trainer for the State Highway Patrol. He performed as a firefighter and rescue man in the U.S. Air Force and developed a swift water rescue program in partnership with the State Fire Marshal's Office while with the State Highway Patrol. As a deputy in Halifax County, Mr. Cameron was assigned to telecommunicator duties, courtroom, bailiff, and transport duties as needed. In the latter part of his career with the Highway Patrol, Mr. Cameron served in the Logistics and Inspections Unit, managing budgets, personnel, fleet and logistical equipment procurement. He was also responsible for staffing the statewide Emergency Operations Center during activation of statewide emergencies. Mr. Cameron has taken the initiative to further his education and leadership skills to prepare him for this role. He has excellent written and oral communication skills, and we're pleased to have him start as our new Emergency Services Director on Monday, October the 17th, 2022. And again, we will bring Mr. Cameron before you in person at our next meeting.
Okay. Any questions of the manager on this appointment? Seeing none, I'm just, as always, glad that we were able to promote from within one of our existing employees. It's always good to be able to do that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I failed to add one item to the agenda when I started. I apologize for that. If no one has any issues, 16A, I need to add one appointment that showed up that needs to be taken care of today that Scott will handle when we get to that part. Is any objection to adding that to the agenda? Seeing none, thank you. Next item is item number 7, which is introduction of the new Soil and Water Director, and I'll call on Assistant County Manager Scott Rogers for that introduction. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure to also introduce another promotion from internal. Mr. Cole Strickland is on the back row. He's with us this morning. Mr. Strickland is going to be our new Soil and Water Director. Mr. Strickland is a native of Nash County and resides near Castalia. Mr. Strickland completed an Associates of Arts in General Studies from Nash Community College and a Bachelor of Science in Agribusiness from the University of Mount Olive. He is currently serving, or was until Friday, as a natural resource conservationist with Nash County Soil and Water. His experience standing in the community and youthful perspective will serve the Nash County Soil and Water Conservation District well. Prior to his work in conservation, Cole has gained an extensive background in the cattle farming industry and is no stranger to the agricultural community in Nash County. Mr. Strickland has shown the initiative to further the accomplishments of Soil and Water District. He has demonstrated excellent organizational and presentation skills during the selection process, and we're pleased to have him start as our new Soil and Water Director as of today.
Great. Welcome, Mr. Strickland. Ben from Castalia is a great longtime friend of mine. Pete, any kin to you? Are you any kin to him, Pete Strickland?
That was my grandfather.
That was your grandfather. Okay, he appeared before this board many times and was always a pleasure and always brought humor to a problem that he had on that given day. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure, that's okay.
I believe we just added on 16A, which is an appointment.
Yes.
But we also needed to address adding on the Nash County Detention Facility additions and renovations change order.
You're exactly right, and I failed to do that too. Let me see where to fit that in at. Probably needs to come as 14A, if that's okay with everybody. Any objection to that? We got one add-on that we need to do concerning a change over at the jail. I'll put it as 14A. Thank you. Dave.
Thank you.
All right, next item is item number A, which is a presentation by Nash UNC Healthcare and on re-imaging. And glad to have 3 people here this morning. Chairman, Bill, welcome, sir. Lee, I'll let you introduce Dorsey, if that's okay, and introduce your chairman, too.
I will. So I have with me, good morning. Glad to be here, and thank you for allowing us to take a few minutes. I want to introduce Dorsey. With many of you know, born and grew up here in our community and has been working with Nash UNC for the last 5 years and is a clear asset, and we're lucky to have her. And then Mr. Lanus is our chair for the Board of Commissioners, and I know there's always a little confusion. The hospital board members are also called Board of Commissioners, and so he leads that 14-member board for our organization. And good to have him with us, and as always, he's very busy with us in supporting the work that NASH does. And so Ms. Leggett also serves on the board, and we appreciate her leadership and her input and guidance as we continue to move forward. I know that Senator Barnes has already had to go back to Raleigh, but I want to publicly, with you, thank her for her support of Nash UNC. She, through her efforts, were able to secure some state funds for our community paramedic program. The community paramedic program is one of our many efforts to help our most vulnerable patient population and our community through social determinants of health, ensure that our patients are able to recover in their homes and make sure that they have their questions answered and any guidance that they need, and help with the communication between the medical community and the patient. And so she was able to secure for us $225,000 this year, and so we're very thankful for that. And so with that, I'm here this morning. Dorsey's going to lead us through a little bit about our efforts with our planning as we look at the future over the next 3 to 5 years, and how we support our community partners and support Nash County through your strategic plan as well, and taking that into perspective as we plan our future. Also, she's going to share with you so that you can ask questions, and that you and the public know that there are upcoming changes with our UNC partners related to how we refer to ourselves in doing business. And so we want to make sure that we communicate with you on that. I wanted to share with you, during the pandemic, obviously, we were focused on the response as we worked with Nash County Health Department and our local stakeholders and community. I want to continue to say thank you to our staff, our medical staff and board, for setting the standards and the guidance, ensuring that we stayed focused on the health of our community, our patients, and our employees throughout the pandemic. But also, the board focused us on continuing to set goals on a post-pandemic or endemic state, to continue to recruit physicians, improve quality, patient experience, to ensure that we kept our eye and our focus on our finances, and then future development and improvements. I'm proud to tell you that we have continued to see positive responses from those efforts. We've improved our market share. Our volumes are up. Many hospitals across the state are seeing volumes down, but really because of the effort and the leadership of our board and the work of our medical staff and staff, we are experiencing improved market share. Quality and patient experience is also improved, and that's evaluated by independent third parties, not just our data. So CMS, Medicare, Medicaid, Leapfrog, Press Ganey, the North Carolina Business Journal, just to name a few, that are evaluating us on those measures and continue to show our improvement year over year. We're also doing a strategic plan. Dorsey is leading that effort with us. It's a process with our board, medical staff, staff at the hospitals, and our community stakeholders. Also involved in that is our UNC partners. And so with that, I'd ask Dorsey to kind of guide us through our efforts and discussions with our strategic plan, and a little bit about our changes with our UNC partner.
Thank you. So as Dr. Isley just explained, we are about 2/3 through our strategic planning process. And so as a reminder, we are in year 4 of our prior strategic plan, which we have kept you all abreast with about annual updates to this board about how we've been doing with that. But as we are in that kind of concluding year of our current strategic plan, we are building towards our next strategic plan. And that, again, has representation from our board, from our medical staff, from UNC Health. We did have a stakeholder input phase at the start of this. It was late spring, early summer, had great participation from county employees. We had leaders from the county manager's office, from EMS, from law enforcement, really appreciated their insights and feedback that help us improve our efforts and what we're doing and how we partner with you all. Some emerging themes as we begin to kind of put pen to paper and start develop those strategies and supporting tactics. These are just some key emerging themes that wanted you all to be aware of, that you'll start to see more as this plan kind of comes to life. But it's interesting in that only 50% of our patients are from Nash County. We have a good makeup of patients from Wilson County, Edgecombe, and Halifax, really with Edgecombe and Halifax leading that at 15 and 20%. And so want to continue to serve those communities as we see more and more market share growth from the northern part of our service area. We want to make sure that we're looking at how we can better serve those communities that are seeing underserved in their healthcare access. So this plan looks to be addressing a lot more of our secondary service area growth. We also want to make sure we're keeping our eye on the western part of our community where we see continued growth from Raleigh. We do have several acres out in the Middlesex area and have a primary care practice out that way. And so we'll be continuing to look at how we can grow that practice, maybe add some services out that way and serve that area of our service area. We will also be improving primary care access to prevent overutilization of the emergency department and to make sure that patients in our community have access to physicians and be proactive in their health. This strategic plan we wanted to make sure is aligned with and supportive of the Nash County strategic plan. And so really the basis here, I put a star beside a few of those initiatives, but a strong hospital really supports the image of Nash County, the economic development of Nash County, strengthens the amenities that we offer due to our location on I-95 and 64. And so there's very close alignment with this plan and with the strategic plan that the county is working through. So as Dr. Isley mentioned, we are, our partnership with UNC Health continues to evolve. We did become an affiliate member of the UNC Health system in 2014. We are still a locally owned hospital. We are not owned by UNC Health, as you all know, but the public does sometimes get that confused. And so as part of that evolution, UNC Health is updating their brand. They actually launched their new brand and name back in February 2020 before the world changed. And so the rollout to the rest of the entities across the state was put on pause due to the pandemic and is now taking place across the state with all of the affiliates. Really, the purpose of this move is to get away from that institutional academic feel that was previously represented with the old well and the tie to the UNC university system, and to become a more consumer-friendly brand as the system transforms itself into becoming more about population health and helping people be and stay healthy in a proactive manner. So this is really part of that evolution. Once this new brand unveiled in February of 2020, there's a company that does most trusted healthcare brands, and in 2021 named the UNC Health brand the second most trusted brand in healthcare, second only to Johns Hopkins. So clearly it's resonating well with patients and communities. This is the way that the system currently looks across the state. It's disparate logos, all kind of representing different ways that these hospitals are affiliated with the system. There have been several additions to this map in the last 6 months, but the map itself is not updated. Apologies for that. But for example, there's Appalachian Healthcare that affiliated this summer out in the western part of the state. This next slide shows what the new brand will mean. It's a much more cohesive, unified message across the state for our consumers to be able to recognize and know the top level of care that they will receive at any facility that they enter across the state. The reason that Onslow is different is that at the time of this map, their arrangement with the UNC Health system had not yet been solidified in how they will adopt the new brand and become part of the system. So really what this means for us is that in January of 2023, Nash UNC Healthcare will become UNC Health Nash. That is our new name. Our logo is what you see at the bottom. We had hoped to align this branding change with when our signs would be changing. That would help reduce confusion in the community. But because of supply chain and all the uncertainties with that, we really are not sure when our signs will change. It could be next summer, it could be next fall, it could be a whole year from now. And there are certain reasons that we have to go ahead and remove the old well and start using the new brand sooner than that. So that's why the whole system and several other affiliate hospitals have already undergone this change. So we will go through that in January. This is a look at what our signs would look like. And again, while the logo and name will be different to our patients and community, it does not change our operations or our unwavering commitment to our patients and their families. Really, we remain a locally owned hospital authority with local governance, local leadership, local decision-making through our Board of Commissioners. This is simply the next step in our evolution of our partnership with UNC Health as we all work together to prepare for the future of healthcare. One thing I did want to highlight for you all is the challenge that we will face. We already face a bit with our foundation because it's easy for folks to see that we're part of UNC and assume that we have a lot of backing, financial backing from the UNC health system, and we do not. In fact, there is no fiduciary tie to UNC Health. We are still fully responsible for hospital operations, and then of course our foundation is its own 501c3 that has its own fiduciary responsibilities as well. And so there's no UNC Health backing or UNC Foundation backing to our foundation. So this brand change will cause a bit more challenge in how we raise money, particularly with funders who maybe give to the university and assume that that then in turn helps our foundation. But really our foundation supports local initiatives that support community health. Dr. Isley spoke about the community paramedic program. That and our inpatient food pantry have really been the focus areas over the last year and a half for the foundation board as we have raised money to address those social determinants of health and keep patients healthy beyond our four walls of the hospital. So that concludes my presentation. Any questions? We really just want to be a good partner to the county and wanted to keep you all informed, keep the public informed of this transition, and make sure you all understand that that really does not change anything about our operations. But any questions I can address?
Any questions? Mr. Belfield?
Since you're a part of the UNC healthcare system, will that give you locally the opportunity to provide more services? I'm thinking in terms of surgery and especially centered around cancer, heart and breast, well, especially breast cancer. Those are some of the issues that, and mental health. This is going to give you a chance to expand in those areas. Or are you going to remain as is? I know some surgeries, I know they tell you that at the hospital, we don't do. I remember my wife, she had to be rushed to Duke from Nash Healthcare because the surgery that she needed, they said they didn't do it.
So, Ms. Belfield, certainly even today, and so Nash has been part of the UNC Systems affiliate since 2014. We continue to work with UNC to expand services. There are plenty of examples of where that benefit comes back locally. Cancer care is an example of where, through our partnership with UNC, our physicians here are able to access specialty experts at UNC for patient care, coordinate care with those patients at the most local location possible. So that may mean that you have to go to Chapel Hill for a little while, but as soon as you're able to come back home through that coordination and partnership. As Ms. Tobias mentioned, we are fiduciarily responsible for our operations here. And so any investment in advancing our services are our responsibility, and we work with our board. We continue to advance, we continue to recruit those specialties to make sure that we're providing the right care at the most local level, and making sure that we can do it consistently and with the expected quality. And so some of those things are just about volume. And so if you can't do enough of those procedures to be competent and proficient, then they need to be done at another facility. But we continue to always work. We have lots of partnerships. The Heart Center is an excellent example of that as well. Our partnership with the School of Medicine is our cardiologist. We continue to recruit for additional cardiologists with additional skills in peripheral and other skill sets that can continue to advance the services that we provide.
Yeah, I think you're doing wonderful in expanding, and I just hope in this system, that UNC system, looking at that map, that they spread some of this out, where you don't have to rush to Chapel Hill for certain things, or either down to Greenville. A lot of can be done in local hospitals close to where the citizens are that need it.
And we have been, actually, Chairman Lanus and I were at a leadership meeting last week with UNC, just discussing those very points about how we continue to advance the care that we're able to provide locally. So that is a discussion and certainly a focus for UNC and for NASH.
Other questions, comments?
Just one. Yeah, just one question on the name change as far as when it comes to the foundation. Why, I guess, since you get no funding for the foundation, that we would have kept the name Nash UNC Foundation versus UNC.
Sure.
What was the logic behind that?
So we've been working to drive a lot more alignment between our foundation and our hospital. The state of the foundation of the hospital a few years ago was a little disjointed from the hospital, and the foundation board, through its strategic plan, really wanted to align and be more unified with the hospital. And so we felt like this name change was another opportunity to make sure that the foundation looks and feels just like it does for the hospital, instead of looking like two separate organizations.
Okay.
But, Mr. Harrington, to your point's well taken. I'd like for you and the public to know that when you contribute to UNC Nash Foundation, those dollars stay local in our community and do not go to Chapel Hill in any way. And those dollars are used and governed by a local board of the Nash Foundation.
Other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to tell Dr. Isley and Ms. Tobias, I think you're doing a wonderful job at UNC Nash, and I say that from firsthand experience. Whether I was with someone else or it was me, I had the opportunity, or the unfortunate opportunity, to visit your emergency room one day last week, and I sat there, and this board knows I observed, I looked, and I could tell a difference from, say, a few years ago. And the strategy that you all have implemented, or they have implemented in that emergency room, I was very well pleased. I mean, everyone was working together. No one's, surprisingly, none of the patients seemed to be irritated. There was a constant flow. And you all, they were very thorough. And I cannot remember that emergency room doctor's name, but she was awesome. Begin with an A, but so I think you all have come a long way from years ago. I see nothing but improvement, and I see UNC Nash as being top rated, and I think we here on this board in Nash County should be very proud of the service that you all are providing, and I thank you for it.
Well, thank you, Ms. Wilkins, and we continue to always love to have you there. Maybe you could visit on without having a patient, and so always welcome you in. Certainly, the staff and medical staff along with the board's leadership, have done a tremendous job, and we continue to look to where we can improve. So
And I
thank you.
truly understand what Mr. Belfield was saying, but, and this has nothing to do with NASH, but I know a hospital has to assess a person, and to do that and make the decision to send a patient somewhere, I mean, that's important in itself. And in Wilson, and I'm going to say this again, in 2000, my 23-year-old daughter had a stroke. Wilson made that decision. They called Pitt. Pitt wouldn't take her because of the extent. They airlifted her to UNC Chapel Hill. And so I know hospitals have to make decisions, and for them to do that, I think that says a lot about them. I say, hey, you know, we can't do this here. We need to send, you're looking out for the patient. And so with that, thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. We certainly want to continue to provide as much care locally, but we need to know our limitations.
Exactly.
And how we develop from a medical community. So
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, I echo what Commissioner Wilkins said, because I was a patient at the emergency system last week, and they moved me right on through. It was at night, weren't that many patients there, but I saw a big change in the emergency system, the UNC Health, Nash UNC Healthcare.
Thank you,
Because
sir.
I went through
Certainly,
that.
The Board of Commissioners at the hospital have been very adamant and direct in their expectations of who we are as an organization. So I give the credit to their vision and recognition of what we mean to the community and what we need to do. So.
Other comments from commissioners? Certainly thank you all for being here this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item number 9, and while Doris is coming forward, I would like to take note that Adam Tyson is not with us this morning, which means we have no public hearings on any development, so apparently the slowdown is real, be it good, be it bad, but it has been a long time since I think we didn't have some item from the planning department, and maybe next month we'll have some back on the agenda. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Monthly tax report.
Yes, sir. At this time, I'd like to present the monthly tax report. As you all know, this report is designed to keep the board current on activities in the tax collector's office. The report is for your information only and does not require approval. However, it is recommended that you accept the report so that it'll be noted in the minutes. And if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Any questions, Ms. Sumner, on the tax report? We will certainly note it for the record. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to item 10, which is tax refunds.
Yes, sir, and there are no refunds for consideration this morning. All right, thank you.
Ma'am. On behalf of the board, I'm just going to say thank you, and I think you understand why I say that, and we
Yes,
certainly
sir.
appreciate it, ma'am.
We sure do. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Next item is item number 11, which is the elimination of the state of emergency. I call on Brent Fisher to make this presentation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are y'all?
We're good. Hope you are.
Yes, sir. So I have before you a proclamation terminating the county state of emergency for COVID-19. The description is Nash County declared a state of emergency on March 16, 2020 to coordinate response and protective actions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The state of emergency has been determined to no longer be necessary, and staff recommends approval of the proclamation. Would you like me to read it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Pretty short.
Yes, sir. Proclamation terminating the county state of emergency, whereas on March 16, 2020, at 3 p.m., the Nash County Board of Commissioners determined and declared a local state of emergency for Nash County due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas the Nash County Board of Commissioners has determined that the need for this state of emergency no longer exists in Nash County. Now therefore, the Nash County Board of Commissioners hereby terminates the declaration of a local state of emergency and all the restrictions and orders therein. This proclamation is effective immediately, proclaimed this third day of October 2022.
Any questions on the proclamation? Mr. Belfield?
You say it's no longer needed. you have any explanation as to why it's no longer needed?
So the state terminated their state of emergency on August 15th, 2022, and they saw the need that it was no longer needed. And I was in a meeting with some Homeland Security folks about 2 months ago, and that was discussed, that even though there may be additional needs that may be affected with COVID-19, the state of emergency was no longer needed at that particular time.
Okay, so you're complying with what the state has recommended?
Right. Yes, sir.
Other comments, questions? Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Legg. Questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign.
Thank you.
Stands approved, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 12 is approved grant administration agreement for Industrial Development Fund, and I'll call on Patsy McGee at this time. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Nash County is busy helping prepare Middlesex Corporate Center for committed and prospective economic development opportunities. And in recent months, we have worked with the Wooten Company to submit 3 grant applications for sewer, electric, and road improvements in Middlesex Corporate Center. The total cost of the Phase 2 construction in Middlesex Corporate Center, which includes the road, electric, and sewer improvements, was projected by the Wooten Company to be $2,741,640 at the time that we submitted the grant applications. Golden Leaf has committed $500,000 for sewer improvements. The North Carolina Department of Commerce has committed $1,681,230 for sewer, electric, and road improvements from the Industrial Development Fund. We applied for a maximum, or the maximum, of $400,000 in NCDOT Economic Development Program funds, and a decision about that should be made by the Department of Transportation within the next couple of days at their meeting. The remainder of the project would be funded by Nash County, and Finance will later, probably in November, submit a related grant project budget ordinance amendment to include these grants. And the attached agreement for $8,500 in administrative funds for grant administration of the IDF by the Wooten Company is consistent with the grant application that we submitted and the funding that was approved. Nash County will administer the Golden Leaf grant, and if awarded the NCDOT grant, as those grants don't provide funding for administration. Attached, or in your packet, is an agreement between Nash County and the Wooten Company for Industrial Development Fund grant administration, and we'd like to recommend that you approve the agreement. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Okay, any questions, Patsy, on this agreement with the Wooten Company? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Belfield. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Agreement stands approved. Patsy, you have the next item, number 13, which is building reuse grant economic development.
Yes, Nash County was awarded building reuse funds by the NC Department of Commerce, and therefore we need to put in place a loan agreement that includes details like the amount and the borrower's payment terms between Nash County and First Wave Innovations, also known as Synovatech. The county attorney has prepared also a promissory note and deed of trust in relation to the loan agreement. As a reminder, Nash County was awarded $400,000 in economic development building reuse funds from the North Carolina Department of Commerce Rural Economic Development Division. And these funds are to support the upfitting of Shell Building Number 1 in Middlesex Corporate Center by Synovatech, which committed to create 42 new full-time jobs at that location. In your packet is a loan agreement, promissory note, and deed of trust. And our recommendation is to approve them subject to review an agreement by the county attorney, Synovatech's attorney, and county staff, there are a few little changes that need to be made to them before we get them executed. So our recommendation is approval, subject to review and approval by the attorneys and staff.
Any questions on this item?
The loan agreement, I notice is dated the 5th of October, while it's not dated today, the 3rd.
It will be.
Since this is the day we're approving it.
It will be dated today on the final version. We apologize for that error.
Oh, that was an error.
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, I think the 5th, giving them 2 days to get it signed on their end at first wave, it doesn't make any difference what the date is.
It doesn't?
No, sir. As long as they're all the same.
Okay.
Other questions? Seeing none, entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Bellfield. Any questions on that motion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries as well. Thank you,
Thank you.
Patsy. Item 14 is a sole source body camera purchase, and I'll call on Major Eddie Moore to make this presentation. Good morning, Major Moore.
Good morning, how y'all?
We good.
So I came before you 5 years ago to ask for permission for us to enter into a contract with Axon for our body cams to purchase those. So I'm here before you 5 years later with that contract expiring, asking to renew our contract with Axon. Ms. Wood and I have worked together on this, and we feel pretty confident that the contract falls under the sole source exception as far as compatibility and standardization. There are a few reasons for that. Obviously, we've been using Axon for the last 5 years, so we've got 5 years worth of data that if we switch to another company, would have to be migrated over somehow. Also, we're using Axon's taser, less lethal weapons, and those are designed to work with Axon body cameras in that when the taser weapon is armed, it automatically activates the body camera. No other company does that. Also, Spring Hope PD and Rocky Mount PD are also using Axon body cameras. So there's some standardization in that we can share body cam videos with them back and forth between us. And also the district attorney's office is also using Axon's, what they call their prosecutor module. So it allows the district attorney to be able to pull our body cam videos, Rocky Mount's body cam videos for cases that they need evidence for and things like that.
Anything else you wish to say?
No, sir. Any questions that you got, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Questions of Major Moore? What does town of Nashville use, Major?
They use WatchGuard.
WatchGuard, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the request.
Move for approval.
Moved by Commissioner Leggett, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Wilkins. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item is 14A, which is a change order on the jail addition. I'll call on Mr. Boone at this time to make this presentation. That's the item you had at your seat when you got here this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
The matter I have before you today is you've referenced to the change order for the North Carolina Nash County Detention Facility project. As you know, that project continues. It's a fairly large project, a lot of moving parts as we work to construct the new addition and complete renovations on the existing footprint at the jail. And the change order I have before you is change order 4. And with the next regularly scheduled meeting being in November, Daniels had asked if we could get this on the agenda, so I appreciate your flexibility in that of the county manager's office to add this item to the agenda. Concern was that we needed to order these materials in order to keep the project on schedule. But this particular change order covers 3 items. I've enumerated those in the memo I provided. But the most significant of which is a pre-action system for the electronics and control room for the new addition. And this would basically add another layer of protection to the fire suppression system. Honestly, it was an oversight by Mosley Architects when designing the project and missed that element. Daniels identified that, so we have a need to address that moving forward on the project. And then the other items were a credit related to some materials used on the mezzanine for the new addition, and then some site railing access that we needed for maintenance staff moving forward. So total change order is $23,005.02. And again, this is change order 4. If approved today, this will bring total amount of change orders on the project to $554,326.83. With that said, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, Mr. Boone, on this item? I'm curious, did they charge us anything to design a new sprinkler system?
No, sir.
Are they helping us pay for it? No, sir.
They haven't extended that offer yet.
Okay. No other questions? Entertain a motion for approval.
Move approval.
Moved by Commissioner Bellfield. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries, sir.
Thanks, sir.
We would like to ask one thing. We still have contingency to cover this item. Some
We do.
contingencies left. Okay.
We do.
Okay, thank you.
But it's, future change orders may be a different story.
Gotcha. All right. All right, next item is item number 16, which is budget amendments, and I'll call on Ms. Wood to make the presentation this time. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. The first item I have is a project ordinance amendment. It's with the 2020 Essential Single Family Rehabilitation Loan Pool Program, which targets properties with moderate repair needs, which are essential. Eligible households must be in Nash County, including the municipalities, and have household income at or below the Nash County 2020 80% medium household income mark. And for a family of 4, that is $44,150. Households must also be occupied by individuals with special needs, elderly, disabled, other than dishonorably discharged military veteran, or a child with elevated lead levels. The Nash County 2020 Essential Single Family Rehabilitation Loan Pool was approved for modification in June 13th, 2020. The modification increased the allocated funding from $320,000 to $400,000. This increases the number of homes that can be repaired to a minimum of 10. The attached grant project ordinance amends the project to increase the funding allocation and the related costs.
Any questions of Ms. Wood on this item? Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Outlaw. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arrington. Any questions on that motion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Amendment stands approved. Item 16, budget amendments.
Okay. I have 5 budget amendments to present to the board for consideration for fiscal year 2023. The first one I have is with the Department of Social Services. This is budget amendments to adjust administrative funds budgeted by the state for social services block grant and temporary assistance for needy families to the social services block grant client services. Additional administrative funds will be used for contract services to support agency programs. The increase for the linked special funds is for one-time funding for foster children to purchase school uniforms and clothing. 6 eligible youth will receive $500 each. It's $42,755 with this budget amendment, but no county funds are required.
Okay.
The next item I have is with the Sheriff's Office. This budget amendment is to budget the fiscal year 23 funds from the Governor's Highway Safety Grant for the first year of the grant funding through June 30th, 2023. It's $361,818. The next item I have is with Emergency Services. This amendment's to budget funds received from the Duke University Race Cars Cardiac Arrest Trial to be used for staff development within EMS and 911. It's for development educational, staff development education, public relation materials, and office equipment. It's $14,200. The next item I have is with Parks and Recreation. This budget amendment is to budget the funds collected from the first annual golf tournament for expenditure availability. It's $15,365. And the final item I have is also with Parks and Recreation. This budget amendment makes funds available that have already been collected in sponsorship revenue for fall sports, including baseball, softball, t-ball, flag football, and soccer, $12,855.
Any questions on either the 5 budget amendments? Ms. Wood, the previous action we just took with Mr. Boone, we don't need to do anything for him to be able to spend those funds.
We will, it's
30
part
days.
of a project ordinance, and I will bring that to the board hopefully in November.
Okay,
But all the funds are available in there.
okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Why is there a decrease in the tenant?
It's just how they have reallocated their funds to be used within the program, so more money is going into the social services block grant. I think it's the way that the state dictates how they use the funds.
Okay.
Where the funding is needed.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion for approval of the 5 budget amendments.
Move for approval.
Moved by Commissioner Leggett, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arrington. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries as well. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next item was an added item, number 16A, which is an appointment, and I'll call on Scott Rogers to make this brief presentation.
Okay, thank you. Due to a recent bylaw change with the Metropolitan Planning Organization, there's now a requirement for each of the voting members on that board to have an alternate member. Of course, Chairman Davis is our voting member, and I would yield the floor to him for further discussion.
Okay. Yes, I mentioned at our last committee meetings that we would be meeting that day, and we had to update our bylaws because it had been a long time. And one of those updates required by the state was that each MPO member, which is 7 of us, I think, had to have an alternate member. I asked Commissioner Outlaw if he would mind serving as that alternate member. Main thing, thinking there is a lot of reports we have to file about our personal economic stuff as well as our real estate holdings. He has already had to do that, been the rural organization's member, and I really don't see a case, a rare case where anyone would need to attend this meeting, because generally I'm going to be there anyway. So I thought it'd be best if he just do it, and I would anticipate, since we got it at his next meeting, he may well hear the same thing, that the state's going to require him to have an alternate member. So I suggested that, I would suggest that Commissioner Outlaw take that alternate member just to help with the paperwork of what you got to file and so forth, to be a member on an MPO or an RPO. But I'll be glad to hear any questions or comments from board members. Seeing none, I would put that in the form of a motion to approve Commissioner Outlaw as the alternate member to the MPO. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Second by Commissioner Combs. Questions on the motion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Next item is commissioner comments, and open the floor up for any commissioner has something they'd like to bring to the board or the public. Y'all do want to get through quick today, don't you? Anything you wish to bring forward? I will very quickly then give you the new home report, which we got over the weekend. It was 37 additional new homes that were permitted or applied for and permitted during the month of September. They were by, which still pleases me, 22 different builders. And of course, I'm reporting on stick-built homes as well as modular homes, but 37 is still a good number. And they were scattered throughout the whole county, quite frankly, by 22 different builders. So I think that's great. The only other thing I was going to mention, when we meet again, we'll have 1 day left, be meeting right before Election Day with the early voting having been passed. So I would just encourage everyone and ask the board members to encourage everyone to ask everybody in our county to go out and vote. It's very important, and ever what your pleasures are, who you wish to vote for, but it is very important, and generally this non-presidential election is a lower turnout. I think we could make ourselves proud in Nash County by having a similar turnout to what we would have in a presidential election. So if you will keep working on that, everybody encourage everyone to go to the polls, either early or on election day. And nothing else from commissioners, I'll turn it over to the manager for her report. Item number 18.
Thank you. I just have a couple of notes to share with the board today. To report on the co-responder program for the month of September, there were 5 referrals, 4 from DSS and 1 from the sheriff's office. And they are doing more work to reach back out to employees and make sure that they are aware that that program is available and to make those referrals. At the first meeting in September, I announced that the first Economic Development Alliance meeting would be on October the 25th. That is going to be moved to October the 27th. There are a couple of commissioners and a number of staff that need to attend a training in Williamston on the 25th that has created a conflict. So the first Economic Development Alliance meeting will be October the 27th at 10:30 a.m., and Susan Phelps will be sending out notification to the board members who are on the alliance, as well as the members that you all appointed and others that will be a part of the alliance moving forward. We're still awaiting feedback from our public school system, I believe, on the dates that are possibilities for a joint meeting with them. And as soon as we have some information from them, we will reach out to you and share that. Just want to let the board know that we're going to have an internal group meeting with Dave Peterson with Trillium Health Resources to start to look at the opioid settlement funding and those requirements. Some of our neighbors are starting to hold their required public forums, and we will be following suit, just so that you're aware of that. We are in the middle of our 2022 Nash County Employee United Way campaign. There have been a lot of fundraising activities taking place. We're striving to meet a 40% participation rate again this year. Our final activities will be on Monday, October the 31st, with our annual pumpkin decorating contest and costume contest. And that morning, we will be handing out candy to the local children from the elementary school. I believe that's going to be at 9 a.m. In front of the administration building, but we will send out an update to board members so that you know if you would like to come and participate in that event. And just a reminder that the Synovatech will hold the ribbon cutting on October the 26th at 10 a.m. Down at the site in Middlesex. So that's October the 26th at 10 a.m. ribbon cutting for Synovatech. And that is all I have.
All right, any questions of the manager on that report?
Is the Economic Development Alliance meeting at 10:30 that morning?
10:30, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Could commissioners attend that? Just be there. I don't mean participate, but just...
I believe it would be an open meeting, Commissioner Belfield, and I'll follow up with you on that.
Okay.
Other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been asked a couple times, so do we know if or when the Pumpkin Festival will be rescheduled? Have we heard any word on that?
It was actually canceled for the year. And
Canceled for the year, okay.
Is the word I got through my TDA
Okay.
funding situation, that it would not have it. It could change their mind again, but when I got the call, asked about funding, it was, and I did follow back up. Sue, do you know any different than that? I don't think they intend to reschedule it. I think it will be next year.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, we do need to have a closed session. Our closed session will be for economic development and to consult with the attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to protect attorney-client privileges. So if no other questions, do we expect any action, Mr. Attorney? Do not expect any action, but if it is, of course, we will come back out here and close the meeting anyway and report any action that's in closed session. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session. Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Combs. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. And recess to closed session. We take